The great difficulty for the speculator is always the same: the tyranny of impulse. The average person permits feelings to guide decisions, which is a fatal error in this game. The market cares nothing for hope and ignores fear entirely. Speculators often act on opinion, and opinion is derived from feeling, not calculation. Hope and fear are liabilities, not part of the necessary equipment. The mind acts on impulse, failing to wait for confirmation. Impatience forces action too soon, and the speculator enters a trade before the timing is right, paying the price for haste. Emotion ensures the speculator's ruin. Hope encourages holding a loss past all reason, turning a position into a prayer. Fear demands taking profits too soon, often when a move is only halfway complete, causing the speculator to exit prematurely and watch the remaining profit vanish. Greed prevents proper measurement, keeping the speculator in the market when the time factor demands an exit. The unorganized mind acts spontaneously, ensuring eventual failure. The market moves by fixed law. It is mathematical in nature, and its movement is never random. The speculator must recognize this truth. The successful trader removes the personal element entirely, cultivating a cold mind and replacing feeling with a rule. Calculations must be perfect before entry, and the plan must be written down as a business plan, not a hopeful wish. The speculator cannot afford to act on assumption. Action must only follow proof. This proof lies in the geometry of price and time, not in the pit of the stomach. Profit is secured only when mechanical rules are followed without deviation. The mathematical mind wins, the emotional mind loses. That is the only reliable rule of the game. Before we continue to the main point, I'd like to thank you for the interaction that drives this content. If possible, take a second to subscribe, like the video if you enjoy it, and leave a comment. This helps the video reach more people, especially through your subscriptions, and guarantees you won't miss the next breakdown. The market follows fixed laws. It is not a chaos of random events. The movement of all prices obeys the immutable law of vibration. Every stock or commodity vibrates at its own unique frequency, dictating the natural rhythm of its price movement and determining the exact points of support and resistance. These points are not arbitrary guesses, but mathematical levels where inherent vibration changes direction. The successful speculator seeks this underlying mechanism, understanding that time is the critical factor in all market analysis. Price movement is merely the effect observed on the tape. Time is the true cause of the move. This relationship is absolute and unbreakable. Nothing happens in the market except at a definite point in time. The speculator must look beyond immediate price action. The market repeats itself because human nature remains constant. This repetition of fear and hope creates definite, measurable cycles. These cycles are predictable to those who study history. Larger cycles govern smaller swings within them, with the 60-year cycle holding supreme importance for the long view, marking major turning points in financial history. The speculator must chart the past to forecast the future, removing the element of surprise from the operation. Panic is the most destructive and expensive emotion on the exchange, arising only from unexpected movement. When the timing mechanism is known, movement is no longer unexpected. The market must be viewed as a finely calibrated machine, and the trader as the mechanic who seeks its blueprint, discovering the exact timing of its internal gears. The greatest danger to capital is not ignorance of the rules, but the refusal to accept error, a pure human folly. The speculator often believes judgment must be infallible, holding that the market owes a return to the entry price. The market owes nothing. When price moves contrary to position, the amateur buys more, averaging down the cost. This is the absolute worst error of speculation and the shortest road to ruin. Averaging down is born of stubbornness, based solely on arrogant hope, not calculation or proof. The speculator attempts to fight the trend, allowing a small loss to grow large, soon risking 10% of total capital, a limit that must never be breached, as ruin follows quickly thereafter. This is trading by emotion instead of rule. The professional views a wrong trade impersonally, merely as information received from the market, not a personal failure. The law of the market requires a mechanical exit. The stop loss is placed for a reason. When price touches that critical point, the position must be closed, the true test of discipline. There can be no hesitation. The speculator must obey the rule without question. Trading must not be done by feeling or intuition. The exit must be executed automatically, just like a machine obeying instructions, preserving capital for the next defined opportunity. Entry into a position must be a mechanical function of calculation. The wise person does not guess at turning points, but waits for the market to reveal its own geometry. Price movement must be measured against the passage of time, treating both as equal forces. When the number of time units elapsed matches the number of price units moved, a critical juncture is reached. The squaring of price and time, a moment of perfect harmony signaling that a major change in trend is imminent. When time and price meet at a critical angle, a change must occur. The speculator uses the geometry of the square to find these junctures, removing uncertainty. The objective signal eliminates all hesitation in the decision to enter. The entry is dictated by the chart's own architecture, not by the noise of the street. The chart itself becomes a geometric map, with angles drawn from significant high and low points measuring the rate of market advance or decline. The most important angle is the 45 degrees line, the 1 by 1 ratio, meaning 1 unit of price moves for every 1 unit of time, representing perfect balance. Price traveling on the 1 by 1 line shows a strong, sustainable move. When price breaks below it during an advance, trouble is near. The entry is based on these calculated lines. The speculator initiates a trade only when price confirms the geometry, waiting for a decisive break through a key angle or for price to test a major calculated support line. The action must touch the point indicated by the map. Rules for entry are absolute, providing a blueprint for mechanical execution and preventing the speculator from chasing the market or acting on impulse. The entry is not a gamble, but the execution of a precise mathematical instruction. The system defines the opportunity, and the wise person simply obeys the rule, ensuring maximum certainty and committing capital only when odds are overwhelmingly favorable. The exit must also be a calculation. The wise speculator first determines the maximum cost of education. Risk management is the supreme law, codified in rules. No venture should ever jeopardize the whole. The system mandates strict capital protection. Never risk more than 1/10 of total capital on any single trade. Exceeding this limit invites disaster and is the first step toward ruin. The stop loss is not a suggestion, but a physical order placed immediately upon entry, defining the point where the calculation is proven wrong. The speculator accepts this cost instantly as the price of new information. The market will sometimes move against the position. This is the nature of speculation. The fool holds on and prays for a miracle. The wise person allows the stop to execute. Moving the stop order further away is strictly forbidden. It is the definition of emotional trading, turning a calculated risk into a desperate gamble. The stop must be fixed and absolute. If the market hits the stop, the position is closed and the speculator steps aside, waiting for the next clear opportunity defined by the rules. Just as the loss must be predetermined, so must the profit objective. The speculator does not wait for greed to dictate the exit. The target price is found mathematically, determined by geometric angles. The next major resistance angle often marks the turning point or completion of a time cycle. The objective is known before the trade begins, making trading an exercise in mathematical probability and a business of cold, precise execution. This mechanical method removes fear and the destructive influence of hope. Mental discipline is the speculator's true capital. Without it, the market takes everything. One must first master emotions, the hardest work in the business. The professional waits, not trading simply because the exchange is open. Action for the sake of action is expensive foolishness. Patience is the cornerstone of success. The speculator must wait for the exact moment. The setup must meet precise geometric conditions. If conditions are not met, one stands aside. Overtrading guarantees failure, signaling a lack of control, diluting capital, and spreading focus too thin. The person who trades too much will soon trade no more. A daily record must be maintained. More than a list of figures, it is an account of the mind. The speculator records feelings during every transaction, revealing where emotion overruled cold calculation. Self-analysis must be rigorous. The ultimate goal is mechanical execution. The system must be designed to trade itself, eliminating hope and paralyzing fear. The trader must concentrate entirely on their own method, ignoring all outside noise. Other opinions generate doubt, the great enemy of discipline, causing deviation from established rules. Rules must be obeyed without question. The market punishes disobedience swiftly. The speculator's final aim is not merely to capture dollars. True success requires perfect foresight. Profit follows naturally from mathematical certainty. The market is not an unpredictable beast. It operates under fixed natural law, fundamentally mathematical. Price movements follow a precise geometric structure. The professional works with rigorous calculation using the geometry of price change to define position and project future turning points exactly. The expert watches squares complete their cycle, knowing when the security's vibration will change direction, relying only on fixed angles of ascent or decline. Trading then becomes an exact profession, divorced entirely from the instinct of the common gambler. The market is conquered through mathematics and reliance on the fixed natural order. Discipline is merely following the path laid out by the geometry. Mastering the market begins with mastering oneself. By replacing emotion with geometry, the speculator transforms uncertainty into calculated action. Remember to subscribe for more insights and trade not on impulse, but on principle. Your discipline is the ultimate edge in the mathematical game of the markets.